Okay, so it's been a minute since I made a video. My apologies for the 2 month hiatus, but I honestly just got lazy. That's all it really was. There was nothing really going on or anything. I just got lazy during the summertime and a little bit into the fall. But I want to get back onto it because there was a game that I've been playing called Last Remnant that I'm showing here for you guys. That I've been playing for quite some time. And as you guys know that have been following my channel, I usually like to, play the RPG completely, or at least, till I'm satisfied. And then I make a video. Oh wow, my voice sounded weird. And then I make a video, basically talking about, what the game's about and how the game goes. Just so you guys get a gist for what kind of game this is and, what to expect. So anyways, Last Remnant is an RPG created by Square Enix. It initially came out on the Xbox 360, and the only other platform it was available on when it came out, like it states there, came out 2008. When it came out was PC. So it wasn't on any of the PlayStation, systems. So this was 2018. This is the first time it was actually released to anything PlayStation. And you can actually purchase it off the PlayStation Store for not too much. I believe it was probably like maybe 20 or so. So anyways, Last Remnant, actually I'm gonna let it do its thing because it shows this cool little intro thing. So I'm gonna let it do its thing while I talk. So anyways, Last Remnant is about, you play Rush Sykes, the guy you see there, in the cool, black costume with sword and stuff, and that big sword in the background. So you play Rush Sykes, and Rush and Arena, his sister, live on, this nice, peaceful little patch of island. I forgot what it was called, but this little nice, peaceful patch of island, and their parents used to live with them there, but their parents are doctors, or not doctors, researchers that research remnants. Remnants, a la the big sword in the back, are basically these mythical weapons used by humans for, either maintaining peace or killing. So they're basically, they could be described as kind of like a nuke, I guess, because they are very devastating, or can be very devastating, or they can protect people. So, basically what you end up doing in this game is your sister, Arena, gets captured by these strange people, these strange sorcerer people. She gets abducted, you don't know why. So then you go about trying to find her. You pass by this battlefield, that a battle is ensuing, and you think you see her. So then what does the knuckleheaded main protagonist do? He runs down there and he's like, "Hey, Arena, what, I thought you were gone." Turns out that's not Arena, it's, one of the generals. So he ends up in the middle of the fight. Then they have to question him, the people that are fighting, the generals of Athlum, which is, the first main hub world in the game, also created by Unreal Engine. So basically they discover you there, and they're asking him, "Well, who are you? What are you doing here?" All that stuff. So then you basically go on this mission of helping the people of Athlum, try to gain their independence from, how do you say it? I think it was Calliope, but I could be wrong. Calliope is like this bigger area, that is near Athlum, that has dominion over Athlum. So they're trying to gain their independence while also fighting this giant remnant war. Everybody's basically trying to figure out, who's causing the issues, and Rush basically sees this as a way of, whoops, I think I clicked the wrong thing. Rush sees this as a way of hold on, I'm gonna return to the menu. Rush sees this as a way of hey, you know, these guys seem to kind of be in the same realm of the people that abducted my sister, so why not help them and in turn end up helping my sister? So basically that's what you're doing throughout the game, trying to find your sister and helping them along the way, as well as other nations, to combat the impending evil that you learn about as the game goes on. So that we got that out of the way. Now next thing I'll do is I'm gonna show you what the game looks like and how it plays and how it handles. So anyways, let me get out of here, and I'm gonna start explaining things when I get to the world map. Okay, perfect thing to explain. So, and the top here, whenever you are going to a location, it usually gives you this, you know, brief information based off of, you know, knowledge around the world of what this area is known for. And then you'll have times like this where you have people in your party, because you can have a shit ton of people in your party, like a crop ton. Have people in your party once in a while, they'll be like, hey, Rush, you know, can we go obtain giant shellfly scalp? Now as far as these kind of things, the only thing I know of that it's really useful for when you actually go get it for them, because you can actually yes or no them to death and really nothing happens. I mean, they get a little pissed with you or, you know, whatnot. And unfortunately, since I have a lot of people, everyone wants to ask for something. But anyways, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure if you actually did get them some of those things, their parameters with you will go up. Damn it. Their parameters with you will go up and they'll fight, you know, better and more effectively for you. So, now, you'll notice this game is third person. There are no random encounters in this game. Whenever you go near a door and to inspect anything, you'll see a reticle and it'll tell you the top left what you're looking at. If you haven't been there before, it'll have little question marks. Then you'll notice, let's see, I'm going to open the door here. There are, like I said, there are no random encounters. Every battle is on screen. You'll notice these little digging points that you could use this little guy here, or to dig up, you know, treasure, or to dig up gold, you know, whatever it may be. He can dig in multiple areas, and his dig count will be there. You could actually have him consume certain materials, in order for that dig count to go up. I'm not sure what the max dig count is, but you could consume certain materials to make it better. So you also notice your mini map here that tells you everywhere you're going. Keep in mind, when you go to a new area, you have to actually look for the map and find it in the chest in order to get access to looking at the map. Oh yeah, and what I just did. So you'll notice after a little bit in the game, and you'll notice that guy is really pissed with me. When it has that little eye, that little eye emoji above their head, that means you're targeted and they're trying to kill you. When it has the little breaking sword kind of emoji, that means they're fearful of you and they don't want to come near you. And now this guy's being very persistent. So anyways, so I could actually click time shift, and great thing about time shift is I could select him like I did there, and then I can use the this kind of like tether thing that I just used there, and when I time shift, it'll take all those people. So let's say I selected him, selected that other creature, I could fight up to a max of, I think, 4 or 5 groups. Now that gets ridiculous and it gets really hard, so you don't want to do that. You want to, you know, with certain enemies, you want to do like maybe 2-3 groups at a time. It sometimes varies, because even if you pick that one creature off the map, it may not be 1, it may be 3, it may be 4. It varies. So then your information thing is always up here, and you have your morale gauge here. Your morale gauge is very important. Your morale gauge will either help you or really screw you over in a fight. So if it's in your favor, like it is for me, because it's almost all blue and barely any red for them, you will have access to criticals. You'll get better chances at dodging attacks. You'll get better chances at stunning them. It's just overall better that your morale is higher than theirs. Only way that your morale can be lessened is if they do certain attacks to lessen your morale, or they start killing off some of your members, which will lessen your morale, because less people in your party, less morale you'll have. It can get all the way to 100 or all the way to 0 if you don't pay attention to it. You also notice in this game they have the turbo mode on. Turbo mode basically makes the game run faster and smoother, because originally Xbox 360, the game was cited to having problems with slowdown, because the combat would get really slow and they would move like really slow like that. Instead of like that, it would be like really slow. So it would make combat go by a lot slower. So then you'll notice here we have Rush's troop. So Rush troop, that's his HP. Keep in mind that's the HP of his entire group. And you'll notice you could have 5 people in a group max. So then there's David's group, and there's Torgo's group, and then Arena's group. So they all have their varying healths based upon the collective healths of all of them. So while you have 5 people in a group, all of them basically add up to that amount. Now, you can have it to where the main leader dies, and then the rest of the group will have trouble fighting without their leader. So it's very important to keep your leader up, because if he gets killed, then don't be surprised if your party can't really act, even though you already gave them commands. Issue about commands. So the commands are purely situational, and sometimes there's not very good options to choose from. So you'll notice the top command is always just have everyone attack, slam them with status ailments, mystic arts. You'll notice some will say attack arts, some will say increase their morale, some will say, well, not increase their morale, some will say lower their morale, some will say to use their special move, because you also notice that some of the lead members have their own special attacks that they can use when their gauge is fully up. AP, keep in mind, the only time that can be increased, because you use AP here, like you see, the only time that can be increased is if you're blocking, or if you're doing regular attacks and your AP, or if you're healing and your AP will increase. You also notice that anytime you see a number here, like a number 4, that means that whatever move you're using is going to be used on the 4th group. Same thing as if it was 3, 2, or 1. So now I'm going to show you a little bit of combat so you can kind of catch a drift on what I'm saying. It'll ask you if you're ready. Turn 1. We're all going to run at each other. They get to hit me. They get to hit anyone in my group, and I get to hit anyone in their group. You'll notice I just did a critical, and it'll be like a quick button press in order to get that critical. So now he's doing an attack. So now that kind of hurt everyone, and he did some critical to me a little bit. Now we're flanking them. We're hitting them from the side. See, I just did it too fast. We're hitting them from the side. So now we're able to decrease their morale because we're surrounding them. Now they can do the same thing to you if their party outweighs yours as well. So now we just KO'd them, critical them, they're dead.
There's still plenty of power left in these old bones.
And then I have the autosave feature on as well. You'll notice that your time shift here only goes for so long. To my knowledge, there's no way to actually increase the time shift. It kind of just stays that way. You also notice that if I let them touch me, then my morale will be a lot lower, because then they're going to get the first strike. They're going to get the first turn. So my morale is automatically higher because I decided to attack them first. Okay, so next thing. You also notice that all these abilities have different numbers on them, which I'm going to go into as well. So the highest number count you could have for an ability to be at its peak is 5. Now, something I learned while researching on this game, while playing it, that I didn't know early on, is that you'll notice in front of some attacks it'll say mighty, or it'll say nimble, or it'll say what was another? It'll say mighty, nimble, or it'll say usually one of those things. It'll say mighty, nimble, or something like that, and that's usually reserved for the combat arts. So the combat arts do get stronger the more you use them, but the way this game works when it comes to leveling up is very odd. And you see I'm getting the chain by, doing my criticals. So the way see, it just KO'd them. You'll notice my I didn't even get to. So you'll notice the loot you get here, it'll be varying things. It'll probably, some of it will be items from the enemy itself, or it'll be like herbs you can get to use for certain moves, like healing or reviving, like Rush and Darien and Cybele have on the left here. You also notice that some of these parts one second. You also notice that some of these parts, you'll see one of your people out on the right that will say, hey, I kind of want that. Now you could let them have it and click OK and let them have it, or you could seize it and say, no, you can't have it, I want it for myself. One of the other things I will describe here. Okay, so now let's take a look at the menu stuff so we can get that out of the way. So you'll see here, top right, G is for gold. You get gold from doing side quests, which there are like 68 of them, and I highly recommend when you play this game to please play with a guide. If you want every and anything in this game, because there's stuff I missed, please play with a guide, because there are certain quests where it's like, oh, if you said this, or if you didn't do this quest at this time, then you can't do it and it won't let you go back. So, if you do plan on playing this game, I highly recommend you play it with a full-blown guide so you don't miss anything, because I missed stuff. You also notice your battle rank here. Your battle rank increases with the amount of fights you do. Battle rank is a double-edged sword. So my battle rank is 107, which is pretty high considering, I'm at the end of the game, because there are a lot of people that ended the game with a battle rank way below that. So battle rank is affected, like I said, with how many fights you get into. So the bad thing about a battle rank, having a high one specifically, is when you have a high battle rank, it makes the enemies that much more deadly. So if your battle rank is 107 like mine, and the boss's health caps out at 450,000 at battle rank 80, and obviously mine is way past that, that means he will have that health. Now, had my battle rank been lower, let's say had it been 40, his health probably would have been 150,000. So battle rank can screw you over in this game royally. And it's not even just the health, the enemies actually get better abilities as well. And they actually scale with you, I guess is the best way to describe it. Their abilities get stronger, they get more abilities. So be very wary of the battle rank. And the best way I can describe to get over that is try to gather up as much enemies as possible, like you saw me doing, like 2-3 at a time. Because if you keep just doing 1, 1, 1, 1, you're going to increase your battle rank too much to the point to where you can go to a boss fight and you're going to get wiped and creamed because they're just stronger than you for that battle rank, and your stats are not up to par with that battle rank. So that's kind of the best way I could describe it. So you also notice that I have a plus for the AP there based off of different equipment I'm wearing. You could have 4 out of 5 battle unions, and currently I'm capped out at 18. I don't know how to increase it past that, but as far as the game was going, it would increase as I do certain story missions. So next thing, Rush's equipment. So you could either have dual wield, single, or you could have it, you know, a sword and shield. You could have one big weapon, so you would have like a giant spear, or, you know, giant this, giant that. It all depends, you know, on what you want to use. So here I have a Night Bloom. It tells you the details of it. You can actually see the model of it, which I didn't know. And there's the Alud Hawkwind. I didn't know you could look at the models till like later. It'll tell you the type, it'll tell you the size, it'll say the modifier of, you know, what goes with it. It'll give you the attack, the defense, the mystic attack, and the mystic defense. And it'll say the effect is silence. Same thing for this, Mighty Pierce, and effect is extremely rare. Then you can have 2 accessory slots at all times. I chose HP and AP. And then your talisman always stays the same. You'll notice here he'll have his strength, he'll have his intellect. Intellect obviously has weight with your mystic abilities. Then you have your speed, you have your bravery, you have your attack, your defense, mystic attack on both hands, because he is, you know, using 2 weapons. Another thing you'll also notice about this game is it does a really horrible job explaining things. Like, I was learning things on the fly that, you know, I didn't know, that definitely would have made my playthrough a lot better had they done a better job of explaining the many small details of this game. So just let you know ahead of time, it does a really bad job of that. So now, if I'm using one-handed weapons, these are the moves that I can use currently, based off of, you know, how many times I've used those moves, and how long I've been using one-handed weapons. Now dual wield, oh yeah, it also have Swift as a name. Dual wield, as you see, I've been using it for quite some time because I have a few more abilities and they're more powerful. And there's also two-handed. So obviously that's for combat arts. Then we got mystic arts, item arts, and other arts. So other arts, unique arts, are basically the super moves. So Omni Strike is his super move. And you have conjurations, talismans, gift. He puts protection on everyone. And they all cost, you know, different AP amounts. Then later on in the game you get summons. You can only have like one summon per person that can summon. So it's very specific on that. So then you got the herbs that can revive people. It can, you got potions that can help, you know, with strength. You got anti-venom for poison. Then you have the mystic arts, you know, spark, obviously lightning, you know, wind attack, double time, you know, increases how fast we get to act. Caustic blast, very, very useful art, even up until the end of the game, because it allows you to target multiple parties at once and hurt them all at the same time. Permafrost, it's a frost attack, wildfire, fire attack, grenade impact. Now the mystic arts vary, so there's invocations, which is all the ones I just described, which are close range attacks. Then evocations are long range attacks, so we got mystic missile, fire these little missiles, flash arrow, silencers, you know, it sounds exactly what it sounds like. You're going to silence, you know, their ability to use magic. Keep in mind, that doesn't work on every enemy. You'll learn that real quick. We got eclipse, we got snare shot, then we got remedies, mystic arts for the recovery of HP and status. So we got restore, we got refresh to clear status ailments, we got rejuvenate, clear stat debuffs. That's really important because enemies will try to debuff you a lot, you know, decrease your attack, decrease your speed, decrease this, decrease that. So keep in mind, pretty much anything you can do, the enemy can also do, depending on how strong the enemy is. Revitalize, very important. Make sure someone knows that on your roster, because it allows you to fully heal, for the most part, your entire little group. So if I use Revitalize on Rush's troop, it would pretty much heal almost the entire group. It won't heal all my units, but that specific unit it will heal. Then we got support. Support is also pretty important and boosts the stats. Kiss of Life, very important too. It allows you to reanimate a KO'd unit. So if a unit is completely killed, every one of them is dead, you can go over to them and revive them, as long as an enemy does not cut you off, because the enemy, if they're faster, can cut you off from doing certain moves you need in order to win the fight. So the game is also kind of luck based in that way, because you can have the right things set in place but get kind of fucked over because he was faster than you, he cut you off, and he killed you before you can heal, or he killed you before you can go revive that group. So you can get screwed over. Psionics. So bluff is really important. That deals with morale. Then you got confused. You can paralyze them, enrage, raise attack, lower defense. Addle, you know, does moderate damage to an entire enemy unit, and also, you know, helps increase your morale. That inflicts curse on people. By the way, curse sucks. You'll notice curse will be done a lot to you if you're fighting birds. Birds are horrible in this game. I tell you, birds suck. They really suck. Orphic ward, important for withstanding mystical attacks. And you got Arcana. Blackout. Blackout is God. That's like a godly move. Like, that move literally has the potential to wipe out everybody, not including your team, everybody on the map. You'll notice also this game is all about, you know, fighting amongst, you know, different groups and stuff. So the game is pretty widespread with its team members. So you'll have humans.
Impressive, huh?
And yeah, you could check your party members here. You could change your wield style from one-handed to power grip. So you could wield a one-handed weapon with both hands, one-handed to wield a single blade, so on and so forth. If I remember correctly, that does change how he fights. And then you can check your arts, check your equipment. So humans are known as Mitras, so he's a Mitra.
Checking my stats, huh?
Then we got a Yama, which are like these fish people. He has his They all have their own stats, their own equipment, their own wield style that you could play with, and their own, moves that they learned based on, the grip strength and whatnot.
I pray my powers
There's
will
another
be of
Mitra.
service.
There's another Yama, Mitra, Kisti. These are like these. How do I describe them? They're kind of like these, like, lizard people, I guess would be. They're like these short, little lizard people they have in the game.
What are you looking at?
You also notice the classes here above the race. You would have to research that to find out what each of them means, but they usually correlate with what you tell the person to do. So, like how you saw how they were asking me for stuff when I was on the world map. When you first get, someone in your party, or after a while, they'll ask you, hey, do you want me to focus on combat arts? Do you want me to focus on mystic arts? A mixture of both? Or do you want me to stay the same? You can actually direct them in that way, but it's still up to you to make sure you use those moves. Keep in mind, those moves will level up and stuff as long as you select them. So if you go and you're going to fight an enemy and you kill him before it's Pagus's turn, and you're trying to level up Pagus's Nimble Thunderclap 3 to 4, it will still register as that move will be leveled up. But keep in mind, it does take time. Everyone has their own items as well. Let's see. Sovani, they're like these weird four-armed cat people. He's actually pretty cool though, I'm not gonna lie. You got Sovani.
Never laid eyes on a Sovani.
What would you like me to do? The world revolves around me.
My contract cannot end soon enough.
And then,
Nervous.
yeah, I think
Release
that's,
me from all that binds me.
yeah, I think that's all of
Make sure
them.
to check all my
And I have a bunch of different people. Also know the inventory, you have your consumables, you have your components. Now these components, you can sell them, or you can create stuff in a blacksmith place that I'll show you when I take you to one of the towns. You could also capture pieces of monsters that you could either sell or break apart for parts. And then you have special items that you get from, side quests or main quest storylines that can be used to open up more side quests, or, that are just for the main quest later down the road. Then you also have your quest here. You'll have a finished and uncompleted quest, but right now it'll just say finished, and it's basically an entire log of all the ones you've done. Then here you got Mr. Diggs' status, the little guy that was digging stuff out I showed you. The more you use him, the more his power will increase, the more his technique, the more his instinct will increase. You'll see that whenever something is yellow, that means it's at its max. And he'll learn these, different abilities like harvesting a rare component easier, harvesting multiple rare components, greatly increases the chance of finding better items and buried treasure. The more you use him, the better he'll get at getting you better items. You'll also notice here, what was something else I didn't mention? Okay, yeah, union boards. So union boards go in this way. So union boards are very important because you have different formations you can put your group into. Different formations give you different things. Right now I'm in a vampire set, so the lead will be in the middle and everyone else will be on the outside, kind of shaped like a vampire. And it'll have different things, like improves mystic defense of lead ranks, but reduces defense of back ranks, enhances mystic evasion. So it is a very good one if you're fighting an enemy that uses a lot of mystic power. Then you have mystic shield, you have glove, improves mystic defense of all except for union leader, reduces defense, drawbridge, massive naga. And as you see, as I'm going through the different things, the stats are increasing, with the blue arrow, or decreasing with the red arrow, as you go. Let me see something. It's kind of the same. So depending on the situation and what you're fighting, you may need a different, kind of formation. You may need to mix and match, people in your party to get the best outcome you're looking for. Some formations are better for attacking, some are better for defending, some are just, flat out better, depending on what you're fighting, whether it's like beastmen or, for birds. Different, for everybody. So you could always disband a union. You could replace a unit whenever you want, and it'll tell you if it'll make your team better or worse depending on who you're replacing. You could always change formations whenever you want, and as you see, it changes on the board. Now this translates actually to fighting, because this will also dictate on what angle the enemy will attack you from based on what formation you have. So if you have a formation that kind of hangs in the back, they will, and you don't have any formation up in the front, the enemy will probably target the one in the back, because remember, the enemy wants to win too, so they're going to try to hit your weak spot the best way they can. And you can always change the union order, and whenever you change the lead person, it always changes the name too. So it's just a cool little thing. Russia's troop, David's, I don't know why they call him David, but David's division, Torgal squad, arena and friends, all that kind of stuff. And then you could have reserve units like I have here, and they all have their cool little banners. I always like that. That was a cool little thing I like. So next thing, let me exit out of here. Actually, what else can I show you that's in here? Oh yeah, so then you can look at your map when you get a big enough map. Well, not a big enough map, when you find a map. Sometimes enemies appear out of the ground as well. You'll notice some enemies will be able to actually use, special abilities like you can. Like you can slow down time, they could actually make you slow down, or make it to where you can't use your time shift. Enemies have their ways of getting to you as well. So now I'm going to take you into a couple of the towns before I wrap up the video, because it is dragging on just a tiny bit. So I'll take you to, and like you'll notice there's a lot of different places in this game. So usually the ones that are big circles, like Caliplaeus, Athlum, Gore, Illusion, Agapor, those are all like the small hub world towns or cities. Well, they're kind of like towns. The ones that are red circles, those are places that you could only go once, and they're pretty much always story based. You went there once, you can never go there again. The ones that are diamonds, the ones that are diamonds are usually the ones. The ones that are diamonds are usually the ones that that you can go to multiple times. I don't know what's the difference between the purple and green ones. I'm not sure what that means, but you can go to those multiple times. So let's see, I'll take you guys to the first place, Athlum, and so you'll have the information there. So you'll notice here, it'll always take you to this kind of like navigation menu before you go into any part of the town, because most towns, it's not just one part, it's multiple parts. And I kind of like how they do space it out like this. Kind of reminds me of SMT. So then you always have an armory, like with the sword sigils there on the left hand side. Item shop, you'll have like a tonic shop, you'll have a workshop that you could create or disassemble equipment. I'll actually go to Zephos away so you can see what I'm talking about. Also, some places in this game, Oh yeah, you could always talk to people with bubbles ahead on their head. Anyone that doesn't have bubbles, you can't speak to. For side quest purposes, if they have a red bubble over their head, 9 times out of 10 they have a side quest for you. You just need to speak to them. Or if they're of your party and they have a red bubble on their head, the more you talk to them, the higher chance you get of having their relationship with you increase, which in turn translates to them performing better in fights. So here's the armory. And there's armories everywhere, it's not just here. So you could, buy new swords, all different kinds. You could buy different accessories. Now, of course, when you go to different places in the game, you'll find different weapons and so on and so forth. And then you'll have your consumables here that you could use for combat. You can buy and sell those as well. You have your workshop. You could customize equipment. So you can take some equipment you can't customize, it's just set in stone. You could take certain equipment, and as long as you have the materials in the bottom right, as long as the quantity matches up with what's held, then you can make it. And it will tell you on the left hand side, like it's telling you whether it would even make a difference for me to buy it or not. Personally, I didn't really use this after a while. I didn't really use building weapons after a while, because I just found it to be that in most cases I didn't have those materials, nor did I know how to get most of those materials. Or if I found out how, it was like it was a place that I had not been to yet. So it was kind of like, what's the point of me getting this weapon that I'm not going to use right now? Then you could create some. You could create them of all different types and sizes. That's the one I really want, Sword of 7, but I don't have enough blueprint 3s. Then you could disassemble equipment for parts. And you got this little shop here where you could just buy, bits and pieces of things, little small things, buckler, shield, broadsword, the works. Then you'll have areas like the Virtuous Path, or Virtuous Path, I think that's how you say it, where you'll have these cups here. So these pubs that you would find in every city are your main areas to find side quests. So if you're looking for side quests, 9 times out of 10 it'll be in these pubs, and it'll have someone in here, with a red bubble over their head. So make sure to keep checking those pubs, so you can do side quests, so you can get some of the better weapons and better people in the game, because I got a lot of these party members because I was doing side quests. And the only thing that sucks about getting new party members is you kind of have to bring them up to speed, being that you have to, obviously you have to train them, but you have to stat train them, which takes a while. So what worked best for me, I'm going to explain this in a sec. What worked best for me was, finding a unit, sticking with it, and then just keep adding to it little by little. I tried not to take out anyone that was already working for me fine, because I was already building their abilities slowly but surely. So now here's one of the guilds. There's 3 guilds in the game. So here's the Ring of Labyrinth, I believe. And you could always employ units here. When you complete missions, just like I said, when you completed missions, certain side quests, you can get that person that you were helping. They'll usually appear in one of the 3 guild halls. So you can employ a unit, and some of them are very pricey, I'll tell you straight up. And you could, as you can see, you can only have up to 50 out of 33. You could dismiss a unit at any time. The only people you can't dismiss are obviously main story units. You can't dismiss any of them. They're gonna stay in the game. Then you have your guild tasks here. The guild tasks will ask you to do certain things, like slay a certain amount of enemies in a location, and it'll show you the stars there over the in progress sign saying how hard it is, how hard or how easy it is. It asks you to slay a certain amount of monsters, asks you to collect certain things, and it won't tell you what your reward will be. It'll tell you what your reward will be once you do it. Because then when you come back, it'll say completed in front of in progress, and you just click X and they reward you with whatever it is. And there's different things for each of the 3 guilds, and they have like a shit ton of tasks that you can do. I didn't really do the guild tasks too much. I didn't really harp on it or focus on it too heavy. And here's the golden chalice. That's another one. I didn't do it too heavy. The only time I really focused on it was honestly for the candle formation trophy, which I had to do. Number 24. In order to get that one, I had to do all these other ones above it. And 24 was to slay Phallic in the Sacred Lands, which is the last place in the game. You will be going to the Sacred Lands once or twice, I think maybe even 3 times throughout the game, but that is the last place you go into the game. That's not really a spoiler, that's just something that was bound to happen. I mean, just looking at the place you could tell. You always notice that each of the places, unless something happened to it, has a small little castle area where you can talk to, the leader. Here, the leader, see, David has something to tell me. So, the leader here will always be at the front here, and he'll have his servants and guests here, and what have you, the parents, mom, dad, yeah. Whenever something prominent happens in a story, it'll have an in-game cutscene. There's no CGI stuff. Everything's in-game, so an in-game cutscene will happen. This game has also been cited for being borderline unfair at times, because sometimes, like I said, you could have a good game plan going in and the boss just does something that you didn't anticipate or he didn't do before, and it just wrecks your whole plan. So, like I said, there is a pretty good deal of luck involved in this game. And then I'll show you the 3rd guild door. I just kind of want to show you, the layout, the different places. So you can also employ units here. They'll all have their different things. Guild task seat, it'll say complete. Then I do it, and it'll say what you obtained. Say I obtained Whirlpool, obtained the new formation. You gain different formations by either finding them in treasure chests, which are these little container things that look like little contraptions. I don't really know how to describe them, but they look like little contraptions. You open it, they'll usually be green. You'll open it, and then it'll be clear, and they'll be apart. But yeah, this game has been cited for being very difficult to almost crushingly hard because of the difficulty spikes, especially with some of the boss fights. Are very hard. So stat grind a lot in this game, please, so you actually have a fairly decent time and not want to pull your hair out as much as I did, because the game is hard. And also to unlock some of these areas, with the triangles, or not the triangles, the diamonds, you may have to do certain side quests, you may have to go through certain main stories, you may have to even, simply just go through one area. Like I remember there was, I think it was this area, Vale of the Gods or something, to where I literally just exited throughout the other side of the Great Sand Sea. And it was just like, alright, Vale of Gods, right there. I'll also show you a few of the different areas here before I really conclude it. I just want to make sure you guys have a decent feel for how this game is. Now this place is fucking huge, and I'm not surprised. And there's one of the birds. Yeah, there's a bunch of different enemies too. There'll be how do I describe it? There'll be birds, there'll be insects, there'll be golems, there'll be, you know, all types of, you know, kind of medieval kind of creatures involved in here, as well as, you know, weird ancient technology that you'll fight. What was another place I could show you guys? Ivory Peaks. Some places early on in the game you won't be able to examine. Oh yeah, sometimes they sleep. You also notice for certain enemies, and it's really annoying when if you decide to do those slaying quests, like I was showing you in the guild halls. Certain enemies, their respawn rates are atrocious. They're just horrible, to the point to where you're gonna have to exit in and out of an area hoping to get the right combination, right conditions of certain enemies being there in order for them to be there. It's like if the conditions aren't perfect, the enemy will not show up. And sometimes that can be very taxing and annoying when you're trying to get a certain enemy to show up. Let's see, did I forget anything else? Oh yeah, there's frog people too. You could also collect, you know, little gold stuff like that. You can collect stuff in the water at any point. Little dog things. Sometimes, occasionally, you'll pop into, you know, a rare enemy, so do be careful of that. I would say number one rule of thumb, if you're trying not to get owned in a new place, if you notice that every enemy in the area is dogs and birds, but then you see a frog, you should probably not try to fight him, especially if you know your troops just aren't up to it. Because if he's foreign and he looks different than everything else, chances are he's probably a rare, and he will kill you for sure. And they won't be nice about it. I guess the only other thing I could really say is some of the better areas to fight in the game, especially late game, is, you know, places like Mount Backle. All the paths, like the 3rd path, 4th path, 5th path, are good fighting training places. If I remember early on, a good place to fight was Heroic Ramparts, Newmore Mine. There are certain enemies that, you know, really help you with stat increases a lot better than others. There are quite a bit of bosses in this game. There are bonus bosses outside this game that one of them I fought, and, you know, let's just not talk about it. It wasn't good, and I fought him by mistake. One of them I fought, and those bonus bosses are really hard, I will tell you. So be well prepared for those if you are going to take them on. Some areas are a lot bigger than others, like the paths areas are pretty huge. They're, you know, definitely 3 or 4 maps big, I would say. Yeah, you could always save, you know, on the whenever you want. So that's always a plus. Save often if you don't have the autosave on. I would always go to the config here, and you can kind of play with the stuff here. You can play with the brightness, play, you know, with the subtitles, navigation map, you know, all that kind of stuff, camera speed. You can, you know, tell them if you want to take control of the critical triggers, offensive and defensive. Oh yeah, that was another thing about fighting. You can block attacks, you could dodge attacks. You can counter, and you know, usually when you counter, the attack is a lot stronger. Keep in mind they can do that to you. Not that they can't counter you, but they can definitely block or dodge you, and that can be very annoying, especially if you're, you know, trying to end the fight. Anyways, so that in most of a nutshell is Last Remnant. I would say I would recommend this game to people that already like RPGs anyways, and kind of are looking for a stat grindy, hard kind of RPG to play. They kind of just need something to scratch that itch. I would recommend that. But if you're new to RPGs, please do not play this game because you will hate RPGs by like the beginning of the game, because I was getting frustrated in the beginning, and I like RPGs a lot. So anyways, thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you guys for my next video. Probably the next video I'll make is another analysis video, because I need to start reviewing these games again. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.